growing up in Cleveland was simple. I grew up in the suburbs, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the mean streets of Bay Village. Like,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
not that mean, dude.
Yeah,
We
right,
edge
right.
our tree lawn, and
Okay,
we
right.
got there's grass and trees, and
Yeah.
not that grass, not those trees. Real grass, real
Right.
trees. But
I got you, man. Yeah.
yeah, no, it was cool. It was simple. I played soccer, I played tennis, I was active, I was around, ride our bike everywhere. Like, I mean, it was really basic. It wasn't, you know, doing, on the trains and stuff like that. Where I went to school was downtown Cleveland. That was my first, kind of, I don't know, my father's from Brooklyn, so like, I was back and forth between here and, Cleveland and Brooklyn. So I got little sprinkles of it and was always intrigued by sort of the pulse of the city, And same thing, my mother's from London, so like I spent a lot of time, every year we would go back and forth to London. So, I got a little, sort of taste of sort of an international mindset, which was always encouraged because of, my mom being from there and all my family is there and everything. So I think that was an influence, certainly, but also just travel and cities and landing and, like a constant set of visuals that, looking back was such an amazing sort of blend of influences to have that I'm now, I'm not really a kid from Cleveland exactly. It's where I was born and raised, but how the structure, the family structure that I'm from, it was always encouraged to be artistic, to explore that, to, to have an interest and go chase what that is and get the knowledge, So, yes, I am from Cleveland, sort of born and raised and whatever, but, I was always intrigued by sort of that underbelly of life. Even going to school downtown, it was a rough sort of Spanish kind of hood neighborhood on the west side of Cleveland,
Right.
but I was always back and forth and going downtown, and we played, soccer in this field that was like one of the biggest like drug den, prostitution sort of rings or whatever
Right.
that was in the city. So you're kind of aware and always kind of absorbing it, but it's not, so it wasn't always fluffy. But ultimately, though, it was a great way to grow up. I wasn't fearful as a
Right.
child. It was always sort of like, sky's the limit, go for it. You
Right.
can do it, So,
I think we have a similar thing as far as you took one class in school for photography, and I did that in LaGuardia High School. I took like one semester
yeah,
photography and kept on doing it in undergrad.
yeah.
Did you keep on like yourself, like going to the darkrooms yourself and like buying your own equipment and things like that? Like,
Yeah, I that's what I initially fell in love with, was like sticking some paper in some water with some chemicals, and then this thing just appears. It's sort of like, that's a fucking magic trick to me, man.
Right.
David Copperfield, David Blaine, go bury yourself, make a card disappear, comes out of your ass, whatever whatever you want. But it's like that was magic to me. That was sort of like, this is intriguing and amazing, and I couldn't leave the darkroom. Like, you couldn't rip me out of the darkroom.
Yeah.
When I was in school, when I had access to it, and I think because of the transition that happened for me, in that I came from Cleveland and moved to New York directly after school, after like 3 months
Right.
of home, just kind of chilling, and I was just relaxing, being with my folks. I've been, it's like my mom and dad are still together like 49 years. It's crazy, which is also a huge blessing to have that equal support of two people, you know what I mean? Sort of
Together,
fighting
yeah.
for you and believing in you. That was huge too, but I stayed home for about 3 months and then had an opportunity to work for Richard Avedon, who's,
Yeah. That's my next question.
arguably the best of the best.
How was
you know?
that experience? I know that had to be, that was a special.
Yeah, it was like getting a
life
PhD,
experience.
man.
Yeah.
Really, it was like the biggest jobs that were happening, that were ever done, and were happening, for him at that time. I got to see the inner workings, from securing the job to the job being finished.
Yeah.
It was, man, invaluable knowledge to, sort of where I am now. And
Right.
it's funny, I had a conversation with a friend like a couple of days ago, I guess this past week, and it was like, because of hip hop and how, quick and fast and immediate gratification and that hustler and the thing, and everybody's got their little angle and trying to play there, you know what I mean? Sort of like, I might be a little bigger than I am, a little smaller, but I'm trying to act big and puff out my chest, and
Right.
it's like, I've gotten so far away from where like the classic, real classic approach to photography, because the hip hop has sort of taken over in mass and become pop culture. It's like I've moved more towards being a hip hop cat than like a photographer, and now I'm trying to drive it back the other way, to really say that, like, yeah, the dedication was there, and the long hours and the hustle, and the, I'm 4 a.m. at a club that's closing down, and Jeezy and T.I. and Wayne and everybody are here, and I'm in Atlanta, and then we're not done after this. We're gonna go to the spot to this and take another shot, and it's like that grind, was part of the process and was part of my dedication to really elevating this movement visually. You know what I mean? And I feel like it wasn't a single-handed contribution. There's a lot of people that have elevated this, you know what I mean? But my dedication to it and the intensity that I brought to it, I mean, everybody knows, like a Jonathan Mannion shoot, like I'm gonna ask for time and dedication and focus and attention, and like, nah, B, it's not time to smoke your weed and chill out and put your feet up. Like, we gotta do this shot because the sun is gonna move and we have to get to this location. Like, it's an intense process, but the fruits of the labor is now gonna really authentically define this 15 years of music that I've been, sort of lucky enough to contribute to.